The phone rang at 3:07 a.m., a thin, trembling sound that cut through the apartment like a blade. I stared at the glowing screen. Her name. My wife's name. My breath stalled in my throat. 3 years. 3 years since the accident. 3 years since I buried her. The phone kept ringing, soft, persistent, almost pleading. My thumb moved before my mind did. I answered. "Sweetie, open the door." Her voice, warm, familiar, perfectly unchanged. "I'm cold out here." I sat upright, heart slamming once, then going eerily quiet, as if trying to hide inside my chest. My building was silent, dead silent, but I heard her breathing through the speaker, steady, patient. A pause, a shift in her tone. Then she whispered something only she and I knew, a secret she used to murmur against my neck in the dark. My blood iced. No one else could have known. I didn't remember standing up. I only knew I was suddenly at the door, hand hovering near the lock. I forced myself to look through the peephole, and there she was, smiling. Not ghostly or transparent, not monstrous, just her. The same way she looked the day before she died. Hair tied loosely, hands tucked inside her coat sleeves, eyes exactly the shade I used to drown in. "Sweetie," she whispered again, lips barely moving. Something was wrong. Bone deep wrong. But I couldn't breathe, couldn't blink, couldn't step away. The world narrowed to that one impossible image. Then she mouthed another secret, one she never intended for me to hear. And suddenly, everything I thought I knew about the night she died, cracked. I closed the door, not fully, just enough to feel distance. My pulse returned in short, clipped stabs. The secret she mouthed wasn't meant for me. It was something I once overheard by accident, something she told someone else, someone she shouldn't have loved, someone she lied about. That night, 3 years ago, she had said she was going out for groceries, but I remembered the perfume, the nervous smile, the way she checked her phone twice before leaving. I ignored it back then, loved her too much to question shadows. But her ghost, her imitation, whatever stood behind that door, it knew things only the two of them shared. A name, a place, a promise whispered in darkness. Maybe she didn't die on her way back from the store. Maybe she wasn't alone. Maybe the accident wasn't an accident. My mind spiraled through memories I had filed away as grief delusions, the little inconsistencies I had smothered under love and denial. Why bring this back now? Why use her voice? Why wear her face? Who was really standing outside? Her knock came again, gentle, rhythmic, a pattern she used when she wanted to be let in after a fight. My stomach twisted. Someone was playing with me. Someone who knew too much. I stepped away from the door and forced my breathing to steady. Emotion clouds judgment. She used to say that. How ironic. I opened my laptop, pulled up old reports, autopsy notes I had tried to avoid, the crash photos, the timestamps. Something didn't add up. Something had never added up. The police had dismissed my few questions with a sympathetic smile. Grieving husband, imagining things. But tonight, through the peephole, I saw a ghost wearing the truth like a mask. I began digging, quietly, methodically. Phone records from her last month alive. GPS pings, bank statements, old messages she thought she deleted. The pattern surfaced slowly, like a bruise healing in reverse. There was another man. Consistent, coordinated, hidden behind false contacts and private browsing. A second phone she had never told me about, listed under a name she once laughed at, calling it our private joke. Only, it wasn't our joke. I found the man's number still active, still registered in the same city, and the last call she ever made, minutes before she died, was not to me. Outside, the knocking stopped. Silence pressed against the walls. But I knew whoever, or whatever, stood there wasn't gone. I felt the presence lingering, waiting. I didn't touch the door again, not yet. By dawn, I had everything I needed. The coroner's notes, the phone logs, the traffic cam footage that had caught her car seconds before impact, and one detail I had never noticed. There was another vehicle in the frame, following her, close, too close. The plate was blurred, but the car model wasn't. A model registered to the same man she had been calling. He was with her that night, maybe arguing, maybe leaving, maybe forcing her hand on the wheel. I found his address, a quiet townhouse near the river. I went, calm, detached. He opened the door half asleep, hair messy, face unfamiliar, yet instantly hateful. I didn't speak at first, just handed him the printed reports, the ones with his car circled, the last calls logged, the messages she sent him the night she died. His face drained, eyes widened. He stuttered something about mistakes, misunderstandings, love, fear. I stayed silent. Silence is sharper than any weapon. He tried denying, then justifying, then begging. I listened with the same expression I had worn at her funeral, blank, hollow, unreadable. Finally, I asked him one question. Why were you following her? He crumbled, admitted everything, the affair, the arguments, the jealousy, the fight inside the moving car, her losing control because of him. He had let me bury her without truth, let me mourn a lie, let me build my life on a wound he carved. When he finished, I simply stepped back from the doorway. I won't go to the police, I said quietly. His eyes lit with relief, then froze when I continued, You will. I told him I had already sent every file, every message, every timestamp, every photo to his wife, his parents, his employer, the police tip line. I watched the realization rip him open. I'm done carrying your guilt, I said, and starting today, so are you. I left him shaking, broken, exposed. Back home, the hallway was empty. Whoever had worn her face was gone. Maybe it was guilt, maybe memory, maybe something darker. Or maybe it was simply the truth, knocking. I didn't check the peephole again, didn't need to. The cold wasn't outside anymore, it was gone. The final weight lifted with a strange, quiet clarity. She wasn't perfect, she wasn't faithful, and she wasn't mine the way I thought she was. But the truth finally belonged to me. I sat in the silence of my apartment, breathing evenly for the first time in 3 years, and I whispered into the empty room, I'm not opening the door again. Not for ghosts, not for memories, not for lies.